Nancy Green with Film Critique. And I thought this was such an exciting and inspiring movie. And yes, one of the things that I noticed as watching it, I was also like doing research and looking you up and stuff like that. And I was like, it's uncanny how much Jharrel looks like Anthony. I feel like in the expressions and things like that. And so I wanted to know if you could talk a bit more about the specifics of working together to get those things right. And also the wrestling. Like it was like halfway through the movie that I was like, oh, wait, right. Drell has two legs, not one, because it looks so real. Like just the body movements, everything was so authentic. So can you talk a bit about those two things?
Yeah, for me, that there was almost two separate journeys for me, and one was the physicality, and the other side was the emotion. The physicality came with working with Anthony for months. We did 7 months, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day. I actually got on the mat with Anthony himself and his coach Brian Stith from ASU. It's one thing to learn wrestling, the fundamentals, the history, the camaraderie, the importance of it, but it's another thing to learn it in Anthony's lens, through Anthony's lens, and on the ground and on the mat. So actually having him there kind of fed a lot of the physical performance. I was almost able, it's kind of weird, but I was kind of just like standing behind him while he's not paying attention and mirroring him slowly. And it's one thing to have a YouTube clip or a book or a 20-minute Zoom where you talk to the person you get to study, but it's another thing to really spend that time. And then as for the emotional part, that was definitely that was kind of a silent journey for Anthony and I. I didn't spend a lot of time asking him actual specific questions about what it's like to feel this or what it's like to feel that. I just sat back and I observed. I got lucky to see him in all these different situations, including being my body double and stunt double, which requires him to be on set for 13 hours a day in, day out, and being doused with makeup 2 hours a day. He's asking me like, what the hell? This is what you signed up for? And just watching him learn and soak that information, and it informed a lot of my performance. So I got to pick at a couple of those pieces, and I promised him that Anthony, he's the greatest wrestler ever, and he's so dominant on the mat. But when you really talk to him and get to know him, you won't even think this guy's a wrestler. He's the sweetest, most charming guy. He's so bright and positive, and lights up every room he walks into. So I wanted to make sure I captured that for him.
And just from my perspective, being an athlete, it's the attention to the little details, that separates you from the average athletes, that make the greats. And Jharrel, that's why he's so great in his field. I didn't even know he was paying attention to me, the little things that I was doing. But it was funny, watching the film for the first time. I had my wife on one side and my mom on the other, and I walked out of that theater with bruised ribs on both sides because they were both elbowing me, like, yeah, that you do that right there, you do that right there. That was all Jharrel, the attention to detail. And for the wrestling side of it, it was pretty neat because, I've been wrestling since I was 14 years old, and I had great coaches who helped me to design a unique style of wrestling that fit me. So I've known it, that's what made me successful. But really for the film, the intensity that you saw, the level and the caliber of wrestling that you saw, that was going to be dependent on Jharrel and his, ability to pick up those little details and those little things, and his attention to them. And so for me to be able to go out there and compete behind, in front of the camera, I honestly was able to go 100% just wrestle free because Jharrel had brought his level up so high to where I didn't have to hold anything back. I was confident that I could go out there and show the best technique because he knew the best technique and he was executing it out there. So in a way for me, I was like, man, I got to bring my A game because, Jharrel was right there bringing his A game. And that was something I believe, we call it the wrestling community. All the wrestlers that are present, the ones that have come before me, I'm getting so many emails and posts from social media saying that they're proud and they're so excited about how the wrestling came out. And that comes back to Jharrel, being able to show that and him let me wrestle free on that mat.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much. And it was really inspiring. I mean, I was just so happy to see you beat McDonald. Um, that yeah, that was fun. So I had a lot of fun watching this.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.